Hi, this is Keith with How to Build Your Own Home, and I'm going to talk about remodels here in this episode. I had an email from a student. It was a very, very interesting email. I'm getting a lot of those right now where owner builders, just regular homeowners, are wanting to remodel their home. And a lot of these are very extensive. I have one student that's going to remodel a home that's a 6,000 square foot home, and they're going to remodel 75% of it. Well, this here is a very, very similar situation. We are literally remodeling this entire home. This here is a several thousand square foot home. I think it's close to 5,000 square feet. And we've literally gutted this home. There's a lot of things you can do when it comes to remodeling a home. If you're going to go very extensively, you can solve a lot of problems. And I'm going to talk about some of those, talk about what we're going to do to this home. It's going to be pretty, you won't even recognize it when it's done. It's going to be that different. And a lot of times people, when they think of remodeling, they think of paint and flooring and stuff like that. This here is a structural change, a significant structural change in various places of this home. And the budget of this home actually shows that. Starting off is where my cameraman, my son, is standing right now. We are actually preparing several major problems with the foundation. In this home, when the slab was poured, it was poured with no rebar. Now, I had somebody mention on my YouTube channel a couple weeks ago, don't put rebar in there. I have to demo those all the time and they don't work. Well, he was just complaining because when you demo a slab on grade and it's got a lot of rebar in it, yeah, it's not easy to demo it because you've got rebar all over the place. But the rebar does help. It controls the expansion and the lift of any damage to the foundation. Without the rebar in a slab on grade foundation, what happens is that over time, if there's any settling or if there's any lift, this house has lift. I've built homes in this subdivision. I've built 3 of them. I know the soils of this subdivision. And if they don't do a proper over-X and recompaction, you're going to have problems. And I'm willing to bet that this whole pad was not properly geoteched or compacted or excavated and recompacted. And so we had a huge hump right here, and it was almost 1.25 inches out. It was that bad. So rather than pay the flooring company money to grind it down, I decided to just cut it out, tie in rebar, strengthen this section of the foundation, and then move from there. We have the same problem in here, where the crack was really, really extensive, and we had an even worse hump here. I put a 10-foot level on this, and I was tilting quite out of level. It was not good at all. So again, we took it out, put some road base in there, compacted it, and we put some rebar in there to tie it all together. Now what that does is it just helps reinforce the floor in these 2 weak areas. I've also got a shower back here that we cut out with concrete, and we are going to do a recessed shower with wheelchair accessibility. These are some things you can do when you're actually doing a remodel and you're doing these types of repairs. You can actually solve some problems and create more opportunity for the home. One of the things we'll be doing, we're going to back up here, is this entire stair system is going to come out, and it's just going to have one stairway coming down here and make room for kind of a grand piano right here as the centerpiece for the home. So the stairs are going to actually start over here and come all the way up. So a lot of major things we're doing on this home. One other thing I've noticed is that when we were starting to demo the home, we have some posts here, and they had cylinders going up, kind of like a column, and they were plastic. We pulled them out, and I noticed I had my concrete guy drill down to make sure that we had sufficient spot footings. You never know what other builders did in the past. So he drilled down by each one of these, and even some of the posts over here, and there's another post in there. And this is the only one that he was worried about not having a sufficient spot footing. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I've only got one crack going through here. I may end up supporting this temporarily, cutting that out, putting a spot footing in it, let it cure for a while, and then resetting a new post. We'll figure that out when we get there, because we want to tear some of this out just to see some of the structure. Let's go in here into the kitchen area. Same thing with this post. You'll see some odd things that builders did. I've got a bunch of wiring coming underneath the post, and drywall was literally put over the top of it. And so we've got to repair that. You find interesting things that builders did in the past, and you end up trying to fix those. But we don't have any cracks here. I think I have a really solid footing here. He's got a drill mark over there, so it looks good. One thing we're doing with this home is we're going to take that wall, that kind of purplish, almost fuchsia wall, and that's going to whole come out, and it's going to come all the way out this way, and we're going to open up this kitchen quite large, much bigger in fact. I'll take you outside and show you that. That calls for a permit. Now, a lot of times people remodel homes without permits, but anytime you extend the footprint of the home, you change the foundation of the home, change toilets, stuff like that, or change a structural load-bearing wall, typically that's a permitted issue. It's different in a lot of areas, but my rule of thumb is that when I change the footprint, the satellite imagery is going to catch up on that, and that's increasing the size of the home, which changes your tax base. It affects the legal standing of the home. And so we're permitting this home. We just got the permit. In fact, the inspector is going to arrive here to do an inspection. He may even come through the door as we're filming. But what I found is that if you're remodeling something and you're changing the footprint, you want that recorded on the county, because if you end up selling the home, and if you didn't have that properly permitted, changing the actual square footage of the home, you're not going to have that valuation. And then they're going to say, wait a minute, the county records show it's this square foot, but you're telling me it's this square foot? How come it's not on the county records? Well, we did a major remodel. Well, did you permit that? And if you didn't permit that, then you've got to verify liability that it was all done right. So that's why you want to go for a permitted situation if you're changing the footprint, and that square footage is changing in any way. All right, let's walk back here. One of the things I have found when you do a new design, and we've got new plans for this home, the architect was able to get the original design of the home, and so the architect redesigned the home based upon what the clients want. Well, that architect never came down to visit the job site. A lot of plans never are built to plan, meaning that he had original plans and then he made changes based upon those plans, but those plans weren't built to those plans. And so when you get an architect or a draftsman, and I talked about this in a post a couple of weeks ago, should you get a draftsman or should you get an architect? Well, really, it's the one that's going to come on the job site and measure and look and make sure he knows or she knows what's really going on the job. I've seen so many architects and so many draftspeople just willy-nilly draft something and not know the site, not know the elevations, not know the land or even the existing building. And here's a good example of that. Right over here, we're going to have a pantry over here, but right through where the pantry door, we've got something in the way that we've got to move. It's a complete manifold system for water, hot and cold water inside the pantry. And so we've got to move that. That's a huge cost. Now, granted, the door works best there, but if the door worked best somewhere else, then it would have helped with some of the costs with regard to that. But again, this is where it would be nice if architects just came through and looked at things. Wait a minute, I was planning to do that here, and maybe it might be better to do it somewhere else. The architect moved just about every single door upstairs in the all bedrooms. And so I said, no, let's not move those doors. We don't need that excessive expense. Let's just save money and make things work here in that way and in a lot of other ways. So again, the answer to the question, architect or draftsperson, the one who cares, the one who's going to go on a job site and actually look. If you remember a job I did up north in the mountains, where the architect literally put the house 20 feet higher in elevation and almost 30 feet back into the hillside. There's no way that was going to happen. I looked at the topography and there's no way I could have made that happen. And so I wish that architect was in Oregon and designed something for Utah, and it just wasn't working. I had to actually redesign, and I had to flip the home, and I had to do a lot of stuff. So architects and draftspeople are worth their weight in gold if they do something called programming. Programming is where they actually investigate. They go on the job site, they look at the elevations, or they come inside the home and look at how things are laid out. They don't make assumptions. And a lot of architects and draftspeople make assumptions. My friend Mary would thank me for saying that. She's an architect and she is a strong advocate for on-site programming, on-site assessment, and really assessing what your real needs are. So thank you for teaching me that, Mary. Let's go outside and show you what we're going to do outside here. Okay, we're outside here, and there's that extension I was talking about. And so we've actually got it dug out, got our footings. I actually went a little larger on the footings because I know I've got a semi-collapsible soil out here, and I really wanted it tied in properly. So I've got rebar tied into the footings, and I got rebar tied into the footings, additional rebar in the footings as well. And then on the grid pattern, we've got some rebar as well. And we had to tear out the stucco because I needed to find the actual elevation of where the actual pad is, so that when we do pour this, it's level and perfectly level with that existing pad that's on the inside. And so when this is poured, we'll let this cure, and then we'll demo out this entire section. Now we've got a problem here, a real challenge. There'll be a little kind of a hip roof situation here. I've got a vent there that I've got to move, which is not too much of a problem. But what I have a challenge with is that I've got a bearing wall. If you notice that, this wall goes all the way up, and this wall is supporting that wall. Well, if we take out the bottom section and create an open living space, now I need to support that. So let me show you inside that challenge we're running into. Okay, here's the challenge. We're going to be keeping this post that's right here, and this is going to be a support column for a complete new truss system going from here all the way to that outside wall. And then it's going to be supporting the bearing wall that I just mentioned right above here. And everything here, this entire wall structure, goes all the way out there. Now I may end up I could use an LVL, I could use a glue lam. I may end up getting my truss company out here, and I think the plans actually call for that, to have them. So we're going to take out all the drywall, look at exactly how things are landing on top of that wall, have them come out and measure and design a truss for us. And we'll have several 20-ton jacks laid out here. We're going to literally lift the entire floor, probably about a half an inch or so, take out the wall while this is all supported, and then we'll actually install a new truss. But we're going to get all that built first. The pad, concrete will cure, then we'll build the exterior wall out there and have that ready. So when we're ready to go, I don't want this house opened up too much. We'll have it sealed off as best we can and have that ready. But remodels are a challenge. This here is a costly endeavor, but it adds the value that the client wants, and so I'm excited to do that. I did a remodel across the street here, a couple blocks down, and a lot of families are moving in together. A lot of families are trying to get a home where many families can live in there. The same immediate family, like your children's children and stuff like that. There's going to be a lot of this happen in the United States. And so a lot of people are looking for larger homes to remodel and to convert. Like this one here, we might have a grandmother live with them. So we're going to create a bathroom with a wheelchair accessibility. We're going to create more access for upstairs with more bunk beds and stuff like that. I did a home, just like I mentioned, across the way here, and we wanted to have what's called an ADU, an accessory dwelling unit, just a separate little casita away from the home. Well, the city permit only allows for 400 square foot ADU. That's their limit. Well, this was too small for what the family needed. And so they said, well, if you attach it, then it's not considered an ADU. It's just considered an addition to a home. So we had to configure an actual breezeway, an actual attachment to the home that now made it an addition to the home and not a separate casita separate from the home. When you start to remodel like that, add bathrooms and stuff like that, the one thing you're going to have a challenge with is the drainage system. Power is not a problem. Gas is not a problem. The biggest challenge is sewer. And so we actually had to re-tap into the sewer up front, run it to the long addition to the back. And once we figured out a line of sight to do that, the rest was pretty easy after that. So remodels, I'm going to talk a lot more about remodels with some other episodes. I just finished a major remodel just to the north, and we'll do some updates on that. I've already done some posts. That's the one where we did a huge 18-foot, big, huge slider in there and created a great view situation for the clients. So we'll do some updates on that. So stay tuned, more information on remodels. We've also got some new construction breaking ground as well. I just wanted to walk you through what I'm going through, some of the challenges, and when it comes to a remodel, there's nothing you can't do. I've done some really, really hair-raising situations. This here's a challenge one, but I've been through this stuff before, so I'm excited to do it. We'll give you some updates and walk you through more of the home, what we're doing to the home, and it'll be a great before and after when we're all done. This is Keith Kelch with How to Build Your Own Home.